6 p.m. in Lowe, that is in the Mungo Division, Littoral region of Cameroon. Same time right here in Akwa Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. First, our major stories. Prominent leader of the Separatist Governing Council, Ayabacho Lucas, has reportedly been arrested in Norway. The Norwegian media has indicated that he was taken into custody on charges related to incitement to crimes against humanity. Away from that, we'll take you right here in the city of Douala, where some residents of the area say they are tired of being disturbed by excessive noise from loudspeakers of churches found around them. According to residents of the Godi Bakoko neighborhood, the noise has given them sleepless nights while making it difficult for their children to study at night. They say those who tried confronting Christians about the problem were termed as devils. We'll be listening to some of them in this news edition. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. For choosing Equinoxe television, you made the right choice. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. We'll begin with this major story streaming into our studio at the moment. Oslo Norwegian police have arrested Ayabacho Lucas, prominent leader connected to the ongoing Anglophone crisis in Cameroon, a conflict that has seen mounting tensions between separatist forces in Cameroon's Anglophone regions and the central government. He was apprehended on the 23rd of September 2024 and is being accused of incitement of crimes against humanity. According to a statement released by Norway's National Criminal Investigation Service, he is expected to appear before the Oslo court today. Now away from that, we take you to Bamenda, where floods continue to cause havoc in several neighborhoods in Kwen. Movement around Mile 3 and Mile 4 Kwen has been perturbed following the collapse of two bridges. The flooding has left local residents stranded on both sides of the bridge, creating a dangerous situation for everyone, especially young children. Local authorities are calling on the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development to do their job before Mezam is cut off from the 5 other divisions that make up the Northwest region. Northwest correspondent Bostella gives us details.
In a video circulating online, young children are seen attempting to cross the flooded Mile 4 bridge. These images highlight the real danger posed by the rushing waters, which can easily sweep away anyone. The bridge links Mezam division to 5 out of the 7 divisions that make up the Northwest region, thus making daily life extremely difficult for the population whenever it rains heavily.
The situation remains troublesome, so we are calling on the Ministry of Urban Development to take their responsibility to make sure that that bridge is constructed.
In September 2022, during the midterm evaluation session of the Bamenda City Council, the media reported that the Council Support Fund for Mutual Assistance opted to fund a project to improve the Mile 4 bridge. The only condition was for the Bamenda City Council to compose and submit a project file for funding. However, the continued flooding of the bridge suggests that little or no progress has been made. Equinoxe television is yet to get the reaction from Bamenda City Mayor Paula Chombong regarding progress made. This September, Bamenda has been hit hard by heavy rains, with several neighborhoods experiencing severe flooding once again. The most recent was in Bamenda 3, where 2 bridges collapsed following the heavy rains of Monday, September 23, 2024.
There is no need for the population to be panicked. About a year ago, we noticed cracks on the bridge, and we already developed a project that includes building a new bridge. Before the end of this week, we will install the contractor.
The persistent flooding in the city of Bamenda has become an annual issue, with little signs of local solutions being implemented. Locals say it is high time the authorities put in place measures to avoid the loss of lives.
Northwest Chief Correspondent Bostella reporting there. The inhabitants of the city of Douala continue to express worries on the poor state of roads in the town. Our newsroom took interest on the Bonandale and the Carrefour-Abattoir stretch in the Douala 4 subdivision, which is a nightmare to road users. The road is marred by potholes, rendering circulation difficult and paralyzing economic activities. Asedu Silengu presents us the condition of the roads in the following report.
Accidents have become common on the Bonendale stretch in the Douala 4 subdivision.
Not accident every day, every road no day.
The road which links the neighborhood to Carrefour-Abattoir, Sodiko, Bonamatombe, Petit Paris and others has been in a deplorable state for the past years. When it rains, the road turns into a mini lake. As a result of this, road users complain they visit the garage on daily basis as their vehicles get stuck in the potholes and slippery road. On the stretch of the slaughterhouse of Douala, every day vehicles fall into the water. We are all obliged to wear our boots, yet we fall into the water.
10 personnes derrière pour pousser pour que ça puisse traverser le lac.
A businessman expresses regrets over the fact that he incurs losses on daily basis.
These are my tricycles that have come to carry my red oil to go and manufacturing soap. There's no road. These are my goods. I can pay 20,000 now. I'm paying 14,000 because of bad condition of the road. We are in Cameroon or we are in a desert country. I just don't know.
On reste au carrefour comme ça, on regarde, on rentre mais on n'a rien à manger.
Also, petty businesses along the Bonendale road are on standstill. This is due to the hike in transportation fare. At first, from ride to Bonendale, we paid 100 francs. Today, we spend 300 francs. Decrying this, traders review they continue to pay taxes despite their challenges. More so, when it rains, students face difficulties going to school.
They can never go to school, they not be able. They suffer every day, they go to school late.
However, the people blame the council for the poor state of the road, which has had other consequences to their economic and social activities. They call on powers that be to come to their aid.
Now to something else. An oil mill has been destroyed by wild flames in Kekem, west region of the country. Sources say the fire started in the early hours of Wednesday. The absence of a firefighting brigade around the area left the population helpless as they watched the entire content of the oil mill reduced to ashes. Smajikan Gabriel tells us more.
Without a firefighters brigade in their locality, inhabitants of the Fonctionnaire neighborhood in Kekem watched as an oil transformation mill burnt into ashes. The fire that began in the early hours of Wednesday was noticed by some women who had woken up earlier to commence with their morning activities. The women who woke up earlier raised their alarm after the fire started, and everyone in the neighborhood came out. Realizing the strength of the flames, we started by removing items of people who were close to the manufacturing factory. Without any professional unit to curb the inferno, it was with buckets of water that the inhabitants of the Fonctionnaire neighborhood managed to control the flames, as others succeeded to remove the belongings of some residents close to the oil mill. Even though the cause of the inferno is still to be determined, no life was lost or injuries sustained apart from enormous material damages. The incident was an opportunity for the inhabitants of the Fonctionnaire neighborhood to request for a firefighters unit around their locality.
A Cameroonian pilot, Captain Georges Ayangma, working for Cameco, gave up the ghost after suffering from a cardiac arrest in a supermarket here in Douala. According to some health experts, this situation wouldn't have happened if security personnel found there at the time of the incident were trained with life-saving skills. Cedric Chakutio comes back to that event to tell us what exactly happened on that fateful day.
On a video captured by a surveillance camera, Ayakma is seen shopping in a supermarket here in Douala. George Ayakma is far from imagining that the worst will happen. As he prepares himself to settle his bill, he is suddenly struck by a cardiac arrest, then collapses. The pilot will succumb after a few minutes in front of helpless, confused onlookers.
Dans ce genre de situation,
in this kind of situation, we expect to see the personnel trained for this kind of situation unfold a certain protocol.
Dérouler un certain protocole. Un protocole qui est donc
a protocol which is therefore a set of actions to be taken into consideration in this kind of situation. Unfortunately, we usually see untrained individuals. Our teams tried to get detailed information from the supermarket where he fell, to no avail. However, experts say that George will have not died if he received first aids.
Lorsqu'il est tombé, la première des choses, c'est de faire un examen sommaire.
The moment he fell, the very first thing is to do a summary examination. The second step is to check if he is breathing. If he is actually breathing, we are to do a cardiac massage, but it should be noted that in each case a position is to be respected the time that the medical staff arrives.
Le corps médical puisse arriver.
George Ayakma Keye was a great figure in Cameroon's aviation. He was an airline pilot. He studied at the U.S. Aviation Academy in Dalton, USA, before joining the Cameroonian airline Cameco in 2015. He became senior co-pilot in 2019 before being promoted 4 years later to the position of co-pilot of the Boeing 737. He dies while he is in the process of disqualification. The native of Ominde in the Bamenda Division Central Region was admired and respected by his colleagues. May his soul rest in peace.
And may his soul rest in perfect peace. Noise pollution produced by the Rema Church found around Godi Bakoko in the Dollar 3 subdivision is said to be a nuisance to the surrounding residents. Inhabitants around the church complain they can't sleep early after returning from work, and the fact that their children are unable to read while at home. After several complaints, the church leaders rather said the locals should rather connect to these prayers and praises so God can bless them. We have details with Innocent Aze.
Around this Rema Church of the Cameroon Baptist Congregation in Godzibakoko, Douala 3 subdivision say their peace and tranquility are threatened by the musical instruments, prayers and singing every Sunday and other worshiping days.
16h à 22h.
This resident says the church gathering starts at 4 p.m. and lasts up to 10 p.m. When she returns from work, there is no means to rest.
Possibilité même de me reposer.
Portes et fenêtres fermées, ça n'empêche rien. Donc ils ont des baffles qui sont tellement forts que faut retarder son retour au maximum.
Learners face difficulties studying in the evening amidst the noise.
Les révisions là-bas c'est difficile. Les devoirs, la paresse, le sommeil, c'est vraiment pénible de supporter ça.
Their concentration is strangulated, with the parents disclosing to us having solicited different home teachers who complain of the noise disturbing the teaching and learning process.
Les répétiteurs, tous les jours, on change, ils viennent juste par plaisir, sinon l'éducation des enfants est en ballot.
Immediate neighbors thought that their children now emulate more of what the men of God do, like speaking tongues and cast demons.
Parfois, vous allez les trouver regroupés en train de faire achabara, abrakarara, faya, les trucs comme ça.
Other locals who fellowship here speak positively of the presence of the church. At first, there were evil spirits in this quarter. Since the church was established here, the witches and wizards in animal forms disappeared.
L'église est ici. Il y a beaucoup de ces choses qu'on ne voit même plus.
Speaking to a pastor of the church after a Sunday service on the noise issue, he said, you can't complain of noise when it draws you closer to God. Instead, it is an opportunity to join and praise God.
De t'aider, de te rapprocher plus de Dieu.
While the tension between locals and the church persists, the intervention of the divisional officer of Douala 3 subdivision is once more solicited.
Traditional rulers of the Dongamantum division in Northwest region have submitted proposals and plans for a return to normalcy in the division and the Anglophone regions in general to the Prime Minister head of government. Preoccupied by the unending conflict and the growing-related security incidents in the region, the traditional leaders tabled the action plan to the Prime Minister. The crisis has seen over 6,000 killed, 580,000 internal displaced and over 66,000 refugees in Nigeria. We have details with Fomi Armstrong Sander.
Conflicts from the Anglophone crisis in their region has been on for 7 years in running, with over 6,000 killed, more than 583,000 displaced internally, and over 66,000 refugees in Nigeria. Added to this, the new wave of inter-community tensions like that of sub-village in Nous subdivision recently got these traditional rulers out of their palaces in a quest for solutions. Under the umbrella of the Donga Mantle Funds Union, the custodians of the tradition of the people of the division met with the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute. In their discussion, the traditional rulers submitted their proposals and planned actions for a return to normalcy, peace, peaceful coexistence in their division in particular, and the two English-speaking regions in general. We came here to inform the Prime Minister, head of government, of the holding of a peace and reconciliation caravan in Kambe on the 12th of October 2024. The objective is to reconcile our sons and daughters with those of the Mbororo settlers community with whom we have lived for years. This event will culminate in a declaration known as the Kambe Declaration.
Declaration in Kambe.
The peace caravan in Kambe, according to them, will be an opportunity to sensitize their people and reinforce the age-old peaceful coexistence between the native population in all the villages of the division and the Mbororo community settled in these villages. The crisis period has seen a disturbing rise in suspicions and tensions among these communities, which have existed for decades, beside isolated incidents of land dispute as well as farmer-grazer problems.
Fomi Armstrong Sander, ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. My guest tonight is a human rights defender, Barrister Kamwa Limen, Dr. Barrister Kamwa Limen, and we'll be discussing on the affair pitting Parfait Bapu and General Joseph Fuda. Good evening, Dr. Barrister Kamwa Limen. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Thank you so much, Immaculate. It's always a pleasure talking to you people, especially when it comes to legal issues. I'm really happy to be here, and I'm always here to respond to your questions.
Parfait Bapu, who is accused of extorting billions of francs CFA from Cameroonians while impersonating General Joseph Fuda, who is a special advisor to the head of state, has been set free after spending 2 months behind bars. As a legal mind, what's your understanding of this case?
I first of all have a problem with the way you've posed your question. You called him an accused person. So far, he has not been arraigned in a court, to the best of my knowledge. So, he is a suspect. He is a suspect, and all suspects benefit from the presumption of innocence. Even when you are accused, that you are arraigned in court, you still have that presumption of innocence along with you throughout the trial. So I have a problem with your qualification by saying that he's an accused, that he was accused. No, he's a suspect. If I'm talking as a lawyer, I should let you know that he was still under investigation, and so he was a suspect.
But Barrister, me saying he's accused doesn't automatically mean he's guilty. We all know just a judge has a right to say someone is guilty of a crime. However, is he still not being accused? Is that not a fact?
No, I prefer you use the word he was suspected. He has been suspected of committing some offenses, which you rightly said. And what is so intriguing, or what is so glaring in this case, is that it touches and concerns big individuals in the country, because it's like he impersonated the image, name, and stamps of a general, admiral. And I happen to have watched these when they were apprehended over the TV, and there was kind of a confession when he said that he was very sorry that he did not know that. He said there was kind of confession that I know equally.
Now, back to the first question. As a legal mind, what's your understanding of this case?
What exactly about it? Because they said he has been released. If he has been released, look, Immaculate, for a lawyer to make statements on matters that are in court, that lawyer should have enough sufficient information for him to make those statements. Secondly, even when it is even forbidden for lawyers to make comments on matters which are under trial, which are in court. But in a social media case like us, like what we have here, I'll be very frank to tell you that I don't have, I was not a lawyer in the matter, and I don't know what happened for him to be released. The next question you might want to ask is it normal that somebody, a suspect, gains freedom after 1 or 2 months under custody? The answer is yes, it is. The law provides, the Criminal Procedure Code provides for bail. And so it is equally good to verify why, under what condition he was granted, under what condition he's released. Because if he's released under bail, it means that the charges are still, the investigation continues while they are free. So you need to get all those information to be able to send out, to give out valuable information. The mere fact that they have left the prison doesn't mean that the matter has been stopped. The mere fact that they have left the prison does not mean that they didn't have, that they have violated a law. The law provides for bail. If you look at the section 224, G of the Criminal Procedure Code, it makes provisions for bail, self-bail, bail on guarantee, and all those things on representation. So you need first of all to be sure whether he has been, if they have been outrightly released or they were granted bail. So what exactly are we talking about?
Even if he has been granted bail for a situation as delicate as what we saw, does it really warrant a bail?
Look, once the law provides for bail, it could be granted. Once the conditions are fulfilled. Take note that I did my PhD research and the topic was granting of bail in criminal matters in Cameroon. And so I should be one of those people who should be at the forefront to encourage the practice of bail, which is prescribed in our criminal laws. So if they respected, if bail was granted to them, fine. But there's one thing I want us to know. This matter was brought through a complaint. I think the very first thing journalists should do, or social media should do, is that they should get an interview with a complainant. Because if I brought a complaint against an individual and tomorrow the person is being released from custody, I think the very first victim should be the complainant. So far, the complainant has not made any statement. So I think it is premature for us to rush into any kind of conclusion.
Now, is bail selective in Cameroon? If yes, what are some of the things to take into consideration for someone to be released on bail?
Yes, bail is selective. Even the law in itself makes bail selective. And those are some of the things we condemn with bail. First of all, bail is granted upon fulfillment of certain conditions. Not everybody can fulfill those conditions. One, if it's a bail on caution, it means that you need to put a certain sum of money the law provides for. If it's bail by recognizance, it means that somebody should come and take you and sign a recognizance and take you on bail. So I think there should be further investigation before we make pronouncements on this issue. We need to know if they have been summarily, if the matter has summarily been dismissed, that there was no proof and they have gone back to their houses, that is something else. And if that is the case, where is the complainant? The complainant needs, the first victim ought to be the complainant. that no, a case that I brought for which there was an open confession has ended prematurely. But up to now, the complainant, who is a well-placed general, has not made any statement. So we cannot just dive into assumptions, presumptions, and they will make statements. And no, you need to know a file. You need to understand what is happening in a file for somebody to be released. The law provides that in criminal litigations, in criminal matters in Cameroon, somebody can be granted bail. And then bail is discretionary. The law itself makes it discretionary. And so it is right that A might be refused bail and B be granted bail. That is a law. And that is those are some of the weaknesses of our bail. In any case, bail everywhere in the world is discriminative.
While speaking to the press, the suspect asked for forgiveness from General Joseph Fuda for impersonating his name. Now that he has been freed, what about the hundreds of Cameroonians who are victims of fraud?
I said, from what I know, there was one complainant. And that complainant has a right to make an appeal or do whatever. The other persons you're mentioning, they could be victims, but they made no complaint. So it is time for them, if they think that they were victims and that they were defrauded by these people, they can go ahead and bring their complaints, and the matter will be heard. So you cannot be fighting the rights of somebody who never came up requesting that those rights should be protected. So if you say, I'm a victim, but you never went to file a complaint against the suspect, you will not be considered. As simple as that.
Barrister, given that the case went viral, what impact can such a case have on public opinion as far as the justice system is concerned? Do you think our justice system is fair?
You know, social media is not a reference point in anything. What they think in social media is what they think in social media. They have their judges, they have whatever in social media. That is social media. But we are talking about the law and its institutions. If somebody in the social media feels that something was done and he has the capacity, he has a local standard, he should bring an action to know. But I will not rely on social media to say that corruption was done or something was not done. They don't have the facts. I am not in any way refuting the fact that there might have been one or two things that have happened. I'm not saying that. But I'm working within the premise of the law to say that the very first person to complain if a violation was done is a complainant. And so far, we've not heard anything from the complainant. Secondly, your worry is whether is it possible that persons who were hitherto detained be granted liberty. The answer is yes. The law provides for bail. And then you ask if it's discriminatory. I say yes. The law provides for it to be discretionary. And once it's discretionary, it's discriminatory. So I think it's for the journalists, the right thing to do, forget about social media. Forget about whatever image you are talking about. If that image is coming from social media, it is not the correct image. No. Go and meet the complainant. Ask the complainant what has happened in the file. If the complainant tells you that I am dissatisfied with what has happened, good. He has the means of he has a recourse. He has a means to bring back his file if he's not satisfied with what has happened. You see? So for now, I think we don't have sufficient element to criticize and to rubbish our justice system for now.
Now, given that the case involves big personalities, is there a possibility that something fishy could have been happening in the background?
I will not discard. Let me tell you, there could be a possibility that the complainant, they arrive at a settlement. Everywhere in the world, there are settlements. that a complainant feels that instead of litigations, they go on a kind of mediation, kind of negotiation. It happens, and it is part of the law. The law provides for those. And the only question then is that since the act was committed against the state, has the state validated such a transaction? So there are so many questions to be answered, to be asked. But as I'm saying, the very first victim that has to make a statement that you need to go first to is a complainant. Is a complainant. And you see, I support the wisdom of my friend Bryson Ndewu. When we had this matter of Lakentini matter, that the whole social media was saying this, and then he was on TV, they asked him, he said, but there was a complainant. What does the complainant say? If the complainant says he is satisfied with the case, what is your problem? So go and meet the admiral who lodged the complaint, and if he's not satisfied, he will tell you that he's not satisfied. Then all of us will jump now to say that what happened. But for now, I think it's premature, and we should not rely on the emotions of social media. They have their own judges, they have their own lawyers, they have all sorts of people in social media. Some that have never been to school, but they know the law more than you who have a PhD in law.
Dr. Barrister Kamwa Liman, human rights defender, thank you so much for your time. That's where I'll put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. Coming up next in some few minutes will be Equinoxe with Sesh Alem Otu. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing. Bye-bye for now.